I'll tell you, the ultimate secret to explosive wealth growth is really passive investing because you're leveraging other people's time, other people's expertise, other people's money. You are making your money work, whether you're on the golf course or on vacation or in the hospital seeing patients. So really, it just is an exponential growth.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. In this episode, we have Dr. Ronnie Shalev. She was all the way, I think, in episode 305, where we were talking about you as an ER trained physician, ER medicine physician who has successfully transitioned into doing real estate for a whole host of reasons. We got people who were writing in who were interested in one, what prompted you to go into real estate? They can get that from the episode. But I think the other question that we got just as much is, what's the deal with these syndications, right? And, it's funny, like I'd say about 3 years ago, there was a bunch of people who were contacting to come on the show and, let's talk about syndications. And I had no clue about it. And I kind of held off on putting folks on the show who were talking about something that I had no clue about, right? I didn't want to pull the wool over the audience's eyes. I really wanted to, know do my due diligence, so to speak, about the situation or about real estate syndication. So you are here to kind of teach us about syndications, but we're going to take it from a fourth grade level. So first of all, Dr. Ronnie, welcome to Docs Outside the Box. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you back. Congratulations on your really nice background. You trying to get fancy on us?
Yeah, thank you.
So
I tried.
where are you located again?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Okay. All right. So let's jump right into this. Okay. Because people right now, at least let's take it from the standpoint of residents and early attendings. They just are getting ready to finish. They're getting to the culmination of their career, which is either graduating or practicing as a fully licensed doc. And they're like, everybody keeps talking about, investing in real estate, investing in the stock market. And I'm just trying to get my feet, solid. And I want to practice into my 70s, taking care of everybody. Right? Like, what is the big deal about all of this investing on the side? Talk to those doctors why they should be considering investing in real estate or maybe investing in other things, maybe sprinkling a little bit of your story. Take it from there.
Yeah, so I was one of those ER physicians that thought, okay, I'm just going to work. I'm going to put money in my 401k and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be able to retire. What I didn't realize was that I was going to get burned out 16 years into it and need to leave medicine. So what do you do then? How do you keep contributing to your 401k?
That's a long time in. I didn't know you were in for 16 years.
16 long years.
Damn. All right, so I'm guessing you don't miss it. So audience, y'all can tell she does not miss it. But keep going. I cut you off.
But early on in my career, I just put money, I saved money, I put it into my house, I paid off all my debt, and I thought I was done. And then when I started looking at my finances, like, how am I going to leave medicine? Your money sitting in a bank account doesn't do anything for you. So I kind of put everything in the stock market. I bought all these index funds and I invested in all kinds of companies, and my portfolio was swinging like massive swings every time there was news, whether it was something happening in the Middle East or if there was something happening with Russia or the election. It was up, down, up, down, up, down. And I was just like, there has to be another way. I can't take this. These swings, this volatility. I just need something safe, something that's just growing. And that's when I started looking into real estate after hearing about it. Now, there's so many ways to invest in real estate. You can invest as an active investor. That means you are buying the property, you're finding the property, you're managing that property, you're getting the loan on that property, and you might hold it or refinance it or sell it.
So that's like your traditional, you buy like a two-family you buy like a two-family house and you get tenants in there. You are creating the lease and all these different things. They're calling
Yeah.
you for any issues. And okay, that's one
Yeah.
aspect of looking at it.
I mean,
Okay.
there's so many other ways to be investing in real estate. You can house hack. So if you're a resident, you could buy a house and get a roommate to pay for your mortgage.
I wish
Um,
someone had told me that earlier, man. Like
I know.
that's the easiest way I think for people right now listening. Like if you have like some space, even if it's a single family, joint or like some type of townhome. Like I did a townhome that was 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and we had what's the word? We had like traditional or sorry, not traditional, rotating interns. Right? Like I could have made my spot like,
Oh yeah,
this like the downstairs area could have been just for somebody who's coming in just
absolutely.
for a year. I didn't even think about that. But
Absolutely.
anyway,
And
house
I wish
hacking,
I
yeah.
knew that too, because you don't have to have a lot of money to start with that. So you can just start accumulating wealth and getting equity. And, the good thing with real estate is that your tenants are paying down the mortgage, and the property is going up in value. So you're it seems it's like a win-win. So again, there's the fix and flips. There's the BRRRR strategy where, you buy it, you rehab it, you refinance it, you rent it, and then you repeat. You do that over and over and over again. Pull the money out. So there's a lot of different strategies. What
This
I
is
was
this is
excited,
this is all still the active, right?
all active, all active.
Gotcha.
Um, but really, for people that are busy professionals, they have families, they have obligations, they have careers. They don't have time to be spending doing that. And that's where passive investing gives you that opportunity that you can still invest in real estate. You can still have something safe, safe from volatility, and safe from the markets, from, Wall Street. And you can still make money. And really, when you're a passive investor, you are like, it's the ultimate way to explode your wealth.
So basically, like if you're investing in a stock market, there are a lot of factors that are not within your control, right? I'm assuming, and as a result, yeah, it's a good way to invest. But at least with real estate, if you do your due diligence and you have good tenants, or like you said, what you're saying with passive real estate, like continuously, no matter what, you should be getting a check, no matter what happens in Russia, what have you. Like obviously, COVID is like a once in a lifetime type thing, but for the most part, you can pretty much like I remember we had some folks in the past who were talking about, using their real estate money to kind of supplant, their income or help their income when COVID took over and they couldn't work as like a dentist or what have you. So, I think definitely real estate is a great way to, help with your income in terms of the returns or the rate of investment returns without having to be so scared as to like, yo, what's going to happen when I turn 50? Like, is something major going to happen that's going to mess with my stocks? That's my big fear. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you're talking
for
about
sure.
this. Yeah.
For sure. And you know what? It's not even just like when you're turning 50. If anything, this pandemic taught us is that we need multiple streams of income.
Okay.
We need multiple ways to make money. If you are relying on one job and they furlough you, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But
And I think this was a
if you
wake up
have
call. This was a big wake
wake
up
up
call.
call,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
I
people are like,
mean,
I'm a doctor. It doesn't matter.
right.
I'm never going to be furloughed. It's like, yeah, you might get furloughed.
I mean, everybody said, healthcare, like job stability. That was one of the
Yeah.
reasons I chose healthcare. But as an ER doctor, you're a commodity. So if there's too many ER doctors, they lower the hourly rates, and if there's not enough, they raise those hourly rates. So you're at the whim of the market, and I hated that. I hated that. So when you start getting multiple streams of income, when one income stream shuts off, it's not the end of the world. You're not like your life isn't destroyed. You have time to think like, okay, how many, you can really assess. There isn't that fear, that panic. And really that's what diversification does for your portfolio. And that's what, that's why I believe you should I mean, you could do active investing and passive investing. Who said you have
Yeah,
to do one or the other?
I know a lot of people
That's
who do that. They do
yeah,
both. What
yeah.
what
I
what are
do
the type
both.
what are the examples of passive investing? Because I know isn't like when in the stock market, even like REITs, isn't that a form of passive investing?
That's right. So
Okay.
you can invest as a passive investor in multiple different ways. One of them is a REIT, a real estate investment trust, um, and that you're buying a share of a company that's buying properties. So you're not technically buying the property, but you're buying into that company. But the good thing with that, with a REIT, is that you can sell. It's liquid, so you can get out of it, into it, out of it very quickly. The negative with that is that you don't get the tax benefits that you do with owning the actual real estate.
Okay. I see. There's always a
Yeah.
caveat with something. Yeah.
Nothing's perfect. It just that's why there's so many options, and you can tailor it to your life. Another way to passively invest is these crowdfunding platforms like Rise, Fundrise, Equity Multiple, CrowdStreet. These are public platforms that you are pooling your money together with a bunch of strangers to buy large pieces of real estate. Again, these also have caveats. You have to be an accredited investor, so you need to have at least $1 million of net worth.
Yeah. So
And
not many people starting off are going to be at that point,
no,
particularly with student loan debt.
yeah, no. And active really house hacking is the best way to start off. Once you have a chunk of money to invest, that's when you start having thinking about options like, okay, how do I passively invest? How do I take this money that's just sitting there and make it work for me? How do I make it so that I'm
While you're
not
putting in
tied to
central
this
lines.
money? Right.
While you're putting in central lines and doing HMPs. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay. So, all right, Dr. Ronnie. So, what exactly is syndications? Because I know a lot of people talk about it. I'm sure that's where you're headed down this
Yes.
path. So, what is that?
Yeah. So syndications are when you are pooling your money together to buy large properties or to buy anything. Actually, you can pool money to buy something large for different things. It doesn't have to be real estate. People can buy a shipping container, they can buy a boat, they can do MRI centers, surgical centers, hospitals, and you can do commercial real estate. So basically, you can buy multi-million-dollar properties without having that amount of money to qualify for a loan, or to even put that much money to buy these large institutional size deals.
Okay, so it's almost
Um,
like crowdfunding, but it's more not physical, but it's a little bit more in depth than just going through a website. Now you're like working
Correct.
with a group of investors.
Right. You're working with the team, very much like a one-on-one type thing.
Okay.
Not a one-on-one, but you have more of a personal relationship. And then another way that you can invest passively is you can invest into a fund, and that fund can go and acquire properties. So, in that sense, you are not choosing the property that you're investing with, you're choosing the company that's creating this fund that they choose the properties.
Now, how have you been able to like really like exponentially grow? Like, is it a combination of everything, or is it just one specific area? Is it syndications where you've been able to really get the biggest gains?
I'll tell you, the ultimate secret to explosive wealth growth and portfolio explosion is really passive investing because you're leveraging other people's time, you're leveraging other people's expertise, you're leveraging other people's money. So you're not spending your time doing all of that stuff. You're deciding who you're going to team up with because it's a teamwork. And you are making your money work, whether you're on the golf course or on vacation or in the hospital seeing patients. You're leveraging everything. I'm not spending the time to learn a market. I'm not spending the time filling out the bank forms. I'm not the one that has to put if I'm a passive investor, I don't have to qualify for a $30 million loan. I don't have to have a perfect credit score. So you're leveraging other people while you're doing other things. So really, it just is an exponential growth.
Now, how does someone find out about these syndications? Like, where would they find these deals at? Where would they find, like, how can they, like, because I hear what you're saying, but I think there's people who are listening who are just like, yeah, that's great, but I don't even know who you even go to get a syndication.
Absolutely. And that's where actually you have to really listen to these type of podcasts and get exposure through other people where you can say, oh, that person's doing it, let me talk to them, let me see if our values match, the investment criteria, if they match. So you really need to have, for a lot of these syndications, you need to have a personal relationship with the sponsor. So they need to know you, you need to know them. And that's actually an SEC regulation, like a requirement for a lot of these syndications.
So not like a personal relationship, but like you just need to explain that a little bit more. And then what is a sponsor also?
So the sponsor is, so you're passive in this deal. You're leveraging other people's time, money, expertise. That sponsor is the other part of that. So they're the ones that are the experts. They're the experts in the market. They're the experts in that business model. They're the ones dealing with the banks. They're the ones finding the properties. They're the ones that are doing all the due diligence. And they're the ones that eventually sell or refinance the property. So they're the ones that are operating the entire investment.
Okay, so basically they're looking for, they know how to make the deal happen. They're just looking to get, I guess, funding, so to speak. Did I describe it right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And they put their time and their money as well into it. They just don't have all of the money, right? These are large multi-million-dollar properties. So this is where people come together, and we might bring 80 people together. We might bring 100 people together, depending on how much money each investor puts in, depending on the size of the deal.
And this happens a lot, folks. Like, I mean, this happens in the NFL, right? Like, there's like the primary owner of a team, but there's several owners of that team, right? Like, they have to put together a significant amount of people who can own this, right? There's a majority owner and a minority owner. So although it's not exactly apples to apples comparison, it's not really strange to hear of someone has all the expertise in getting the deal, but may not have all that significant amount of money or cash flow to like solidify the deal. So I see where you're going with this. Okay, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, actually, that might be a syndication. I don't know. Like people that are, it might be a.
You mean a mafia? No, I'm not going to. Depending on how you look at the NFL. But anyway, keep going. Conglomerate. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So.
So how do people find out about, different syndicators, different sponsors? And it's really talking to other people that are doing it, listening to these podcasts, going to conferences. My company is called Shalwin Properties. And how did I do it? It was really word of mouth. I started, and then I started going into those circles and meeting more people. And, oh, you do storage, and you do retail centers. And so really learning what everybody else does, because everybody does a different niche. And you can choose a niche for yourself. So I chose apartments. My niche is apartments, but I still invest in I invest in warehouses, and I invest in retail centers. And I just find sponsors that are doing that. And they invest with me. So we really leverage each other.
So if you're talking about apartments that you are working, like you're saying you're creating your own syndication on apartments, correct? Let's say
Correct.
That's just one of them. So like, what are we talking about? Because you're saying $30 million. Like we're talking about like these huge, like, I mean, how many units or how many doors are we talking about?
Yeah. So 200, 150 to 200, depending on which market.
Oh, wow. So these are like pre-made like apartments already, like they're already made, or these are like they're building them and then eventually they're going to get tenants and people renting and all that stuff. How does that?
So there's all kinds of models, right? So you can invest in ground up construction. You can invest in new construction that isn't filled. You can invest in what I do, which is value add. We buy existing apartments They're in their 70s, 80s, 90s built. And we go in and we improve them, we renovate them. And the reason we chose that type of niche, because we're niching in the apartments and then we're niching in these class B and C properties and in doing the value add strategy. So we're further specializing. And there's so many options. You don't have to do
So,
just one. You can really diversify within real estate itself.
so when you say BC neighborhoods, you're talking about like B neighborhoods being like the I neighborhoods, and then C neighborhoods are like, you may not want to stay here at night type of neighborhoods. You just make them better.
Well, it's actually, so it's properties. The class B properties are, they're 80s, 90s property.
Hmm.
They are nice, but they're not, they might not have backsplashes and granite countertops.
Ah,
They
okay.
might have carpets. We go in and we tear it all out. We update it. We put nice stone countertops, and we put new cabinets or new cabinet fronts, and we renovate it and update it and make it look more modern, basically.
Okay, so hold on. So, because I remember you mentioned before with REITs, which are investing in the stock market, but you're investing in companies that own real estate, right? And then you said that one of the issues, though, is it's a great investment, but one of the issues are you don't get any tax benefits. So, like, if someone is, you're talking about doing syndications, like, why is someone, what's the benefits of doing a syndication? Like, I get that you're going to passively own something, but talk to me about the benefits, though. What's the deal with all that?
Okay. So if you buy, okay, let's just compare a REIT to a syndication. You take $50,000 and you buy stock in this REIT, and in 5 years you sell, or it gives you a distribution or something. You pay taxes on that. You're going to pay taxes on whatever you got. So if you're in, it'll be 30% or 25%, depending on where you are in the tax world. If you own real estate, that distribution is tax free. Why? One word: depreciation.
So, but what I'm saying is that benefit occurs in the syndication.
Correct.
So you own the property. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I
So
get it.
when you own the real estate, you get the depreciation that's associated with that real estate. And as an owner, you get that loss on your tax return, which is something that you want. You want it to say you're losing money. You want a loss. You want depreciation because it's going to offset what the income that you're getting from a lot of those investments.
Understood. Okay. So that's how you're decreasing your tax burden, so to speak. Okay. All right. So, but how does that occur? Like, do you at the end of the year you get a statement or something like that? How does that work in a syndication?
Yeah. So you get a K-1, which is a tax document that you give to your accountant every single year. And that just kind of talks about the the income and the loss for the property. Because when you're buying into a syndication, you're essentially a business owner because you're buying a business. You're not just buying real estate, you're buying a business. There are tenants there, they're paying tax, they're paying rent, there are employees. So there's money that's churning, okay? You're buying the cash flow of the business, but you're also buying the land and the building. And you're getting, those tenants are paying rent. So you're paying the utilities and you're paying the property management company, and we're paying all these expenses, the debt, the taxes, the insurance, everything. And then at the end, there's money left over that is distributed among all owners. And then eventually, when the property is sold, again, those sale proceeds are distributed among the owners.
Hmm.
So
What's
everybody's an owner.
so what's the? I'm just gonna throw a curveball. Like, what's the most recent syndication that you've managed?
So my company just bought two apartment complexes in Dallas, Texas. One of them is 160 units, and the other one is 98 units, and they're like 1,000 yards from each other. So we ended up doing two separate closings from two different sellers and rolling it into a fund where we diversified it for our investors. So our investors could put money. into our fund, and they could actually own both properties. So they're owning the property. They're not owning a piece of my company. They're owning the actual property. So they're going to be getting, blended returns from both properties, which is safe, especially in this type of environment where things are kind of in turmoil with the interest rates and everything. If one property does better than the other, then the losses are blended. So it creates a little bit more security. So people really like that.
What's the maximum amount of people or investors that can jump on into a syndication? Like, for example, like the properties that you had, like, is there your maximum amount where you're like, yo, nobody else is getting in after this number, or you just keep taking in all comers?
No, no. So we have an amount that we're trying to raise money for, and it's typically the down payment of the property plus any kind of renovations that we are doing. So that money is a fixed amount. And if I have one investor that comes in for that entire amount, I have one investor in the deal. If I have 100 investors that come in for $100,000 each, then I have 100 investors. I just need to get to that amount. And there's a variability. Some people put 250, some people put 500,000. I had an investor put over $1 million. And then I had people that put in 50. So it really varies. So there isn't like a number of investors. It's more like the amount of money that we need.
Okay, give me a 30,000-foot view as we end this real quick. So in terms of active investing, where you own a property and you are actively working on it, answering all the calls and all of these different things, versus syndications, so to speak, where you own a property, but you're not doing what you're doing with an active. Is the tax benefits the same? Is there more benefits to syndications? More so? Is the biggest benefit just kind of less work that you're doing? Talk to us about that type of experience when you're comparing
those.
So
actually, there's a lot of benefits to it because number one, it's not like you own a house, right? Because if you own a single family house and you can't get that rented, it's sitting on the market for 2 months empty, you're losing a ton of money. When you're buying into a large property, like an apartment complex with 200 units, 200, if 10 people move out, you still are doing well. You're still 95% occupied. And so again, this is the economies of scale where you have less risk. So the bigger you go, the less risk. So if you have a single family home, it's more risky. The bigger you go, the less risk. When you're leveraging other people's time, other people's expertise, no one's calling you in the middle of the night. No one's saying, there's a fire, there's a leak, I hate my neighbor. He's not doing something. There's nothing like that. You put your money and the sponsors deal with all of that stuff. And so you really don't have you have the benefits of owning real estate, but you don't have the headaches of owning real estate.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we're going to end this conversation. We're going to pick it up in another episode. But listen, why don't you let the audience know how they can learn more about syndications, how they can learn more about you? Why don't you drop a line? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So if you want to learn, I offer a free masterclass. Go to invest.shalwinproperties.com, SHALWIN properties.com. And it's a less than 30-minute webinar, and you can learn the basics of passive investing.
And just in general, how often do you have deals ready to go for, let's say folks who are listening to the show, they're like, yo, you got me sold, I'm ready to jump in. How many times a year do you have deals ready to go?
Yeah, so we have deals between 3 to 4 times a year, but we have to have established a relationship before that deal goes live. The SEC guidelines, they want you to have established a relationship. So a stranger can't come to me and say, hey, I want to jump into your deal. You're in right now. I can say, well, there actually is requirements by the SEC, how long we need to know each other, what kind of questions I'm required to ask. So there's a lot of different things that we need to first have a conversation, and make sure that, you fit into our investor model, and then we fit into your investment strategy.
All right, there it is, guys. We're going to catch you guys on the next episode. Dr. Ronnie, we'll catch you in the next episode, all right?